We are recording now. Very good. Okay. Reminder, number one, Victoria is leaving today for Hawaii and she will be out of town. So if you need some, she's still going to be working a little bit. She said she'd look at stuff tonight. If you've got a closing coming up before the end of August, get it in at least 7 business days in advance. Business days. So if you're closing next Friday, get it in by this Wednesday, if you can. Okay. Just so you know, and she's 5 hours behind us, but she's already.
Whatever happened to our 10-day?
Well, that's asking a lot for a lot of deals.
Okay.
So we're asking for at least 7 if we can. Okay.
Okay.
That's good. We have added a new agent who is not here with us today, but Kat Hope joined us yesterday. Megan, is Megan online? No, I don't see her. Megan has capped and Taja capped.
Yay.
Congratulations.
You're like,
Really?
What?
Okay.
I have a question about the transactions closing, things like that. So, like, for example, because I know that this rule is in place because of me. Like when I say I got my stuff in like a month ago, I got it in super early. And then of course, like I messed up.
Mm-hmm.
And so in this situation, I'm worried because I guess I forgot to fill in, I had to have it re-signed. And then when I redid it, I missed something. And so then it got denied. And now now I'm rushing. Now it's not 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's in Hawaii and DR wants my CDA like a week and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
So how, I mean, obviously like, yes, be more thorough, all of those things, but what's the expectation with like, hey, this was corrected. How long is the turnaround time for corrections, things like that?
I would, if you do a correction, I would send her a Slack message and say, hey, I sent the correction.
Right. Can
you please get to that as soon as you can?
Okay. And so then what's the expectation with
Probably,
response time and turnaround time?
Probably a day or two.
Okay.
And unless it's something that's like pressing, like if you're closing and it's Thursday and you're redoing the stuff and you're closing Friday, I mean, she will make exceptions for all of this. As she does her
I mess up
absolute
all the
best.
time, and then she'll tell me unless it's 24 to 48 hours before the closing, don't even text me back because I'll find you then.
Right,
So-
but I mean, it makes a bigger issue for title, like the land, like
And D.R. Horton is the worst about asking for your CDA a month before. you
right,
close.
which is part of why I tried to do it, and then it's like I was out of whatever. It doesn't matter why it didn't get done. It just didn't get done.
Just send her a Slack message, and she'll do the best she can. She'll put you to the top of the stack of having that document back in there. I usually expect at least within 2 days when I have to submit something back. Okay, so how do I put this? 6th Ave Construction and Design and Pool and Outdoor. We are filming commercials next Thursday, and we need a dog that likes to swim.
Golden
retriever.
Golden retriever, lab, something that
just
just
crazy dog.
Oh.
I like this one, they think.
we need a dog that
And
will,
baby.
we need a dog that will run and jump
loves to
in the pool.
Oh my God.
They will?
Yeah.
Okay. What now? There you go, Jimmy.
So the question is one, do you have a dog? And then 2, are you willing to come and bring them to Fort Worth on the 22nd for like a 2-hour window in the morning? Yeah. I mean, anybody can bring their dog. We're doing like the end of the
Well, you may
celebration.
want to consider bringing more than one. I know my dog likes to swim, but she gets in slowly, does one circle in her own pool where the steps are. They may or may not be like, this is somebody else's pool. So
I'm gonna reach out to Jamie. She does, she breeds dogs. She has tons of them that are literally the cutest things you've ever seen in your life, and they have a pool.
I want 2 dogs and like one dog with like sunglasses and shades, like on a float.
I bet some of her breeding dogs would do that. I'll text her.
So everybody talk to Jimmy about the dog.
22nd.
Okay, moving on. We are working on IDX. Okay, so if you're not familiar with what IDX is, that is where the MLS sends automatically listings to our site, to It's called an iframe. And we're going to put up a page in 6avhomes.com, not on the backside. This will be customer facing, that will have all the listings from the MLS. There'll be a search engine. They'll be able to go in there and just look around. I'm going to try to get it where our listings are, like up at the top, where all of 6th Avenue stuff is at the top. We figured out that we can put the BAC link on that page. It cannot be on the home page of 6th Ave Homes, but it can be one click deep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that considered a landing page at that
No.
point? No, it's something.
Well, like who, considered by who?
I don't know what I'm asking. I just feel like.
Oh,
And
And
so-
should we
Report
ask-
this verbiage.
Yeah,
on-
and that other thing I was gonna ask about is it okay to have all of our VACs for all of our listings someplace for
Yes.
all the world, like all of it? It's like when we sign our listing agreements, we say, yes, we can communicate this. Do we say yes on behalf of the entire brokerage?
Yeah, I mean, essentially that's what you're doing when
What
you do
we're
it on
saying.
MLS.
Okay.
And like you're doing the same thing as you used to do on MLS, because anyone can see that if they're an agent.
Right.
So that's the.
Well,
or-
not only
or
that, it was
But it-
IDX into Zillow.
Zillow. and
like, so it was
the
for-
whole world could see it.
Okay.
This is just consolidating it. So the idea is that one, we used to put up listings on our website, but it was a manual thing where like it was a pain in the butt. And then also we didn't want to distract from like y'all's websites. But since we need a way to market the BAC now, we're going to put listings as one of the top, like you have construction design, buy and sell. It'll be our listings. It'll be at the very top of our website. It'll say our listings. You can click on that, but you can use, and then that will take you to our listings page. On that, our listings page will have a button that says BAC or buyer's agents or
Okay.
something like that,
Okay.
where they can click and see, everything that they need to know. So if you're linking something to your socials, then you would just link that our listings,
Okay.
page.
That
Which-
URL.
Theoretically,
So,
would then
yeah,
become
my
a-
website has our listing. So when
And
you
so-
click on mine, it's all of our brokerage listings.
So
in
what-
our-
what-
and
what-
it starts.
The idea is that in MLS, when you list a home, the information of your information that you put in there, you've got, like 6th Ave Homes, Angela Webster, and down at the bottom of that, it has the office website, 6avhomes.com. We cannot change that in MLS, but we can tell people, in the private remarks, you can go to the office website to find the BAC.
You can
can't-
say
you
that, you
cannot
You can't
can't.
say BAC, but you can say,
For more
for
information.
more information, go to
Okay.
the 6avhomes.com.
That was about a $500 problem right there.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
So the idea is that if you're a buyer's agent, there's going to be like multiple different ways for you to find out without calling if our listings have 3% whatever. So that's the idea, is that they're like, okay, well, here's the link on MLS that goes to this. If they go to our website, if you promote it on your socials, they'll have like 3 or 4 different ways of coming to get this information.
Can we not link to that from like our websites?
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
then that way, as you update it, it updates
Yeah.
to our website?
Oh, I don't know.
Like-
I don't know if that'll translate. The
Well,
You
BAC
can link to the BAC
Yeah.
from your
Yeah. Oh,
website.
yeah, yeah.
So that's what I'm
The
saying,
page
is
that's
on
already
my
there?
listings, I
You
should
can
be
already,
able to
that's
have
a
another
public facing
button.
page.
So on the top of my website, if I want to have a tab that says for offer instructions.
Yeah,
Or, yeah,
On your website, you
Like,
can put
click here.
buyer's agency compensation offered here.
I
yeah,
don't
your
even know that
website.
I want to do that. I think I just want
Uh,
offer instructions and then.
yeah.
As long as it doesn't feed back to MLS.
Yeah.
That's.
yeah, I'm talking about linking it to you
Okay.
so that.
So
y'all-
to that end, if everybody, when you list a home, I'd like to add one simple step. Go to Slack, and on the channel that's listings-open houses, like you did, put your listing there and then just say, we're offering this much percentage. That alerts me to go and add it to the BAC page.
Yeah.
Easy?
Yes.
So remember, listings and open houses, that's where everything we're talking about houses, please do it in that Slack channel. To the point of Slack, Jimmy and I have been
Hold on,
discussing.
before you go, any questions or thoughts, discussion about that?
I think it's super important that the conversation that we're having with our sellers when we're on our listing agreements, I mean, our listing appointments, that you're explaining to them that, and getting the authorization and asking them, how do you want me to present this information? Do you want to wait till offers come in and then we discuss it, or do you want me to disclose it upfront in the
And market
beginning?
it.
Well, that's in the
Market it.
listing agreement, right? That's.
Yeah, but you have to have the conversation.
Oh, yeah, you can't just check, you've got to check the box and go over the listing agreement.
Yeah.
And say, this is what we'll do.
Yeah, I agree. You know, your listing agreement should give you the legal, like, so if you forget to have that discussion and you mark it anyways, as long as the listing agreement should cover you. But again, ethically, you want to make sure
The
you.
agreements covered us a lot in the past too,
Yeah,
and we
exactly.
weren't having these.
I'm saying that's
conversations.
the right way to go about it, but luckily, the listing agreement from a legal standpoint will protect us.
Yeah.
From doing that. And so that's a good point though, Clarissa. If you don't get the permission to do it, then don't put it in the
Yeah,
Slack
yeah,
channel. We won't put it on there, or we'll just,
Or just right when you give it to Brian, say it's negotiable with offer. you know, or
Negotiable, yeah,
something like
that's
that.
completely-
Say-
That's what I was gonna
acceptable.
ask. So after you get offers, you can then go back and change? Like, what if your seller says, oh, well, at this point, I don't even want to pay them. Now what do you do?
Well, and I actually had that question on my deal
You
in
change the
Temple.
listing.
Like I ended up on my end giving up $1,500. Like it was worth it to just get the thing done. But really what I should have done is gone back to my sellers and said, hey, we've agreed to this compensation agreement. Like, can we do that? Like when we get an offer, they didn't call and ask what compensation was. We got a low offer. Should I have gone back and renegotiated the buyer agent compensation? Like, is that something we're doing now? Like,
Yeah, that's
you know
what
what
I
I
wanna
mean?
know,
Like,
yeah.
Because I've had that also where the agent said, well, you give up your commission if your buyer wants it. So are we able to negotiate
The
that?
seller can.
The seller can.
that's what I'm saying. Like, so
Yeah.
should-
Just because.
can I present that as an option to my seller with the offer?
Yeah, it's an option
Well,
that the seller has.
With the offer, with the amendment, with up to closing.
So then the amendment comes into place with the offer.
Because they
Well-
submitted a buyer, they submitted an agreement between brokers. So when I received that, there's nothing the seller doesn't have to sign that.
Correct.
The seller doesn't see that. And
Right.
so am I just supposed to sign it based off of the listing agreement? Or am I supposed to take it to my seller and say, we've received this. Are you still agreeing to pay my brokerage 6% in order to pay them 3%? What is the proper?
Yeah. I mean, everything is negotiable. That's the point of the lawsuit.
I think that's the proper way, is that you have to go back and say.
But you don't,
You
because they don't
agreed-
have to be signed. They don't have to sign it.
What's the form that we have to submit with that an agent, as a buyer's agent, should be submitting with the offer?
It's an agreement between brokers.
2402 is the one that's signed before an offer. 2406 is signed with an offer.
So the 2402 before an offer is basically what your listing agreement says.
Correct.
Then you'll just say, yep, when we send an offer, this is what it's gonna look like.
Correct.
When the offer comes over, you get the other one. Then you're gonna.
But you're sending
negotiate.
both?
No, you do not have to send
No.
both.
Okay, so then the only time I see this potentially maybe being an issue is after negotiation of repairs or something like that. right?
And that's what I'm
And that's when
talking,
it's gonna
or
get
not
ugly.
even that, but so for, in this example, we're listed at 264.9 and they offered us 264.9 with $10,000 in seller concessions.
Right.
Plus a 3% buyer agent compensation. So when because I didn't sign the buyer's agent, the agreement between brokers yet, we didn't do that yet. Should I have taken that all to the sellers and said, hey, this is what we're doing in lieu of the 3% buyer agent commission? Because they're asking for 10,000, do you want to reduce the
Do you know what
compensation
that
that you're
10,000
offering?
was for? Was it for a buy down?
They're VA buyers, first time home buyers, so it was for closing costs and a small buy down.
Yeah, well, then you may want to go back and see if you can get more sales price or negotiate that. Maybe.
It's going to be a
Do a
learning
next sheet,
process for all of
yeah.
this. So, yeah.
And again, I already gave up, like, they're happy, we
Negotiate
finagled it.
everything.
But now having this discussion, you
Had
know,
the seller agreed to 3%
correct,
before on their
Yes.
original listing agreement?
Correct.
Since they got a lower offer with
Correct.
concessions, you were trying
Yeah,
to.
but that's no different than how it used to be. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, you
It's-
just go and you just say, hey, look, we agreed to pay them 3% and.
well, not technically, because didn't the old agreement say that either way our brokerage gets 6%?
Yeah, but, yeah.
I mean, it was
did,
still
did, but
technically
you could-
negotiable,
Yeah, you
but
did, but you could go, hey, my seller's not happy with the net, on this, and so I don't care, we gotta drop those concessions, or you gotta drop
Yeah.
your commission,
Yeah.
or you gotta do something.
yeah, I mean,
It just
I
wasn't
mean,
talked about
yeah,
like
and
that.
it wasn't, I feel like it wouldn't have a leg to stand on, because even on page 11, it says, if you advertised this in the MLS, again, yes, everything,
You
actually,
advertised it.
no, it's not, because that's where all these lawsuits were coming from, is because people were
Saying that you could not negotiate.
correct, because this is what was agreed on.
Mhm.
So that's what the whole
But
problem
you,
think that
it's the sell, it's not you negotiate, it's the seller
Yeah,
is
it's the
saying,
seller.
I'm refusing, I do not pay them that. And
I
so,
think-
But they've already agreed to.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But I
either
think
way.
that's like
Legally,
the-
you can
that
hold their,
was really one of the big whole points
Right.
of this antitrust lawsuit is for the seller and the buyer to be in control and transparent about who is getting paid what. And I certainly have negotiated commissions down, with an offer to say, hey, like, we can't make it work. I'm gonna give this, you're gonna give that, we're gonna do this. So, I mean, I just think.
Which we've all done it. I
Yeah.
just think I
Yeah, I just think
realize
you have to
now.
think about that the seller is gonna have the final say.
So are you having this do you think you would have this conversation where, because I wouldn't have before, but
Right.
maybe I will now, where if the seller says, no, this, I'm not willing to take this, the concessions need to come down in some way, shape or form, but they have to have the 10,000 in lender, are you gonna go back to the agent and be like, well, you and I need to figure this out.
I mean,
I'm not
Yeah. reducing
reducing mine, so are you, or we both need to be on the same page and reduce to the,
yeah,
I mean-
that's how it's always, that's
That's
like
what-
how it's always been. But that's pre-accepting of the offer. So it's like, I mean, you're negotiating, you're pulling all of your levers
Yeah.
at that point, and then you're doing the same thing during option. And then, and then once you get past that, I think it's, the answer is you negotiate,
Everything.
like Danielle, you negotiate with, our seller has agreed to pay this, but, and will pay it if this is like, once the offers are accepted and we're past option and we're past all that stuff. So if you're talking about, we're at day 29 and we're closing tomorrow, yeah, and the seller's like, you know what, I don't want to do that. Well, no, now at that point, everybody is going to go, no, you have to. Legally, you're bound at this point. You've agreed to, forms are signed. You can get out of it, but you're breach of contract. But if we're talking about pre-acceptance of the offer, then it's all on the table.
Yeah.
And so,
I think it's just like, to Brian's point, like it's a learning curve of thinking about it differently. Because, I mean, I've had that conversation. I had it on a deal that we did recently where I just told the buyer's agent, I was like, look, this is my client's bottom line. We're $5,000 off. I'm not giving anything up. I don't care where it comes from. Lender can give it, you can give it. We got it done.
yeah.
But I just I feel like we left money on the table for my sellers, and that's not a good feeling right now. Like on this transaction, I feel like I did
How?
because I didn't let him renegotiate their buyer agent compensation.
But
It's not that I didn't let them. I just
You
didn't
just took
present
it. You
it.
took it.
I
You took the hit.
you took the
You
hit.
took the hit.
I took
You-
the hit
Yeah.
instead.
So really, yeah.
But technically, I think we probably could have gone back and said, look, like we're gonna only do 2%, or we're only.
But
gonna
you
do
could
whatever.
have. You could have.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like you
Yeah.
could have. That's why I'm
Okay.
feeling like I did not do my best job because.
You
I
probably
just
did.
whatever.
Maria, I say you
On
did good.
the one, on the listing, when we said closing, I was confused on how, because my client was only paying 2% for the buyer agent. And so his offer presented, we're increasing the price so that I can get paid by 3%. Which
Yeah.
totally confused me. Okay, well, my sellers are still getting more, they netted more. But it confused me as in why.
Can it appraise?
Yeah.
Can it appraise? Can it appraise?
That more because that 3% is going back to the buyer's agent. You're raising the price.
Mhm.
to cover the buyer's agent, so that it's a wash for the seller if they're raising it by the 3% to cover their agent.
As long as it
As long as
approves.
it appraised.
If you don't appraise, you're back to the table.
Isn't the price already, if we're okay, so if we're pricing the house to what we have, aren't the commissions already?
Well, that's what everybody's arguing, is
The
that there's
buyer's already
inflation
paying, yeah.
because of the commissions, like,
Oh, so,
So
yeah.
so the math confused me. And I'm not gonna-
I'm not gonna map either, but if your sellers were happy and the buyer's agent was happy, if
Yeah,
everybody was happy.
that's normal too. I mean, that used to happen as well. Like, I mean, that's not the buyers, if the buyers are happy and they're like, I'm willing to pay more to make sure my agent that's, is representing me is going to get paid.
But wouldn't that be
So
just
then wait,
simple
so
as
now
the seller
let's-
concession now? Aren't we decided that seller concession, we can put the
Commission in
compensation
there.
in there and it doesn't affect lender or anything like that? So why would we increase sales price and potentially have an appraisal issue? But
Do
you're
they
still
want, do they
saying,
want seller concessions and?
oh, I guess,
No.
because we need to increase.
So
the
if there's a
price.
seller not offering a compensation,
2%.
2%, so they raised it by 1%.
Yes.
To make sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
then
it's a
you're
wash for the
saying-
seller. It's just moving money from one column.
It
to
is.
the other.
Yeah.
I think that's always been done.
Everybody does
Yeah,
that.
I've always done
Now
deals
let me
like
go
that.
backwards. Now, if the seller is not gonna pay for the buyer agent, a 3% to the buyer agent, so then should we reduce that? Because I mean, all our analysis show with two agency fees, not just one.
Yeah, I mean, you
True.
can, but you're like, I mean, I think that's, you don't factor in, like, your praise value is your praise value. You don't factor in commissions to that. Just your praise value is what it's worth. That's it.
I think I
Don't-
know what you're
don't
saying.
Think about that. So if, yeah, like, don't factor in like, well, they're paying 2%. The reason that they want to pay 2% is because if their house is worth 500, they don't want to drop it any more than that. It's worth 500. They just want to make more.
Just want to net more.
Net more.
I think the few situations that was like a thing were for investors, because they're thinking, well, why do I want to have to pay an agent if I have X amount to work with as an investor, I bought a property, whatever. I think that's where maybe some of those problems were popping up. Because I know the conversations you're talking about, people were saying, well, there's inflation because rates are fixed and la 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 la. Like, I guess technically, but nobody looks at it that way.
Yeah, don't factor that in. Like, your praise value is your praise value, regardless of if they get 1, 5, 10%, doesn't matter. It's praise value.
Are you saying that the seller, you said, because I think what you're saying is that they raised the sales price, so the commission is based on a higher sales price, so really the seller is paying more in commission than originally.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
But
that
you
I
can-
get.
And you can
Because of
put in
percent,
the contract, compensation is based on a
On
sales
list
price
price.
of
Yeah, you
$500.
can
List price.
on list
Yeah.
price and not
That's
purchase
what you're
price.
saying.
I've had that happen to me before.
Yeah, or you can just make it a dollar
But
amount.
it's still,
You can make it a dollar amount. Say
Flat
the
fee.
buyer's agent is getting $15,000.
Yeah, that's probably easy.
It just depends. Everybody's different in how people want to do it.
Yeah, because I always put when we were in the crazy world of people paying over, I always put, instead of just 3% on page 10, I would put 3% of final sales price or
Yeah.
whatever, because
yeah, because they would do that. That happened to me and I had to.
And we'll see how that's going to turn out from Texas Realtors and the Broker Lawyer Committee. They met twice in July and they're meeting again on the 19th. So we'll see how things go there.
Yeah.
Let's move on and we'll come back to this at the end if we have any time. We're trying to run out of time. Jimmy and I discussed having a channel on Slack because some things, announcements are getting buried behind comments and our conversations. So if you go to Slack today, search add a channel, there's a new channel that's called Brokerage Announcements. And that will be just for me and Jimmy to put things that you need to know. There will be no commenting, please, on that channel. It's just for us to get information to you where it's always there. Any kind of conversation, please go back to the guides channel.
You can turn that off, okay?
No, not on that channel. The only channel you can do that on is on the general channel, which is for all of us, and we don't want to do that to the general channel. So all comments on the guides channel. The general channel is for all of 6th Ave. That's for storytelling, pulling outdoor, construction design, and brokerage. So if it deals with us, brokerage, put it on the guy's channel. That's our main channel.
Can we organize this too? Click it and move it around.
I have no idea.
I'm not
Okay.
trying to
No, you
customize
can't.
it.
Okay,
Yes,
But-
you can.
couple quick
Oh.
things.
I know you can.
No,
And then just another
just to
announcement.
move it
Okay.
around.
Another announcement with that, if you have a listing or like, hey, I have an open house coming up, use that open house
Listings,
or listings channel as well for that. And I'll try to remind you guys. And the main reason is I just don't want to cannibalize each other. Because there's been like a couple of cool questions and announcements, or like Brian will be like, hey, who wants to join this class? And I'll be like, I got a listing, and then I got this, and then it's like, and so by the time I read it, I'm like, oh gosh, I'll read something like 5 days. I'll miss someone's birthday, and I'll be like, oh, I can't believe this, just simple stuff like that. I'm like, and then there's certain things that are like pretty important that are getting cannibalized by everybody else's comments. So I'm trying to make it a little bit more efficient. So,
And let's always reply in thread.
Yeah.
Aja,
I don't want to be out there by myself. Hey, I have a question for you.
It's because she's an Android. Go ahead.
go ahead.
All the cool kids. Anyways, hey, so when we're using the 6timehomes.com/BAC, is there a day and time that you want updates about listings? Because like I just made a reduction.
I'm watching it in the list. I'm just pulling out
Okay.
active listings.
Okay, I just
And if
I don't want to overwhelm you. Like if there's a day and
It's
time.
data entry. I'm just
Okay.
gonna do it like, once a day. I go look at it
Okay.
when I'm running through stuff for the
But yeah,
office.
what about reductions?
What is that?
You can text me if you, or
Okay,
if
yeah.
you want to, but I'll see it at the end of the day.
Okay.
I don't think the BAC side is going to be that
No.
Yeah.
involved. It's just for us to advertise that
Okay.
bottom number down there. Okay,
Okay.
all right. Have you been to the new TAR forms on our back site? Please go. If I can find my mouse, hang on. Present. Okay, so I put in a bunch of new stuff here that I want you guys to see. And I'm updating this frequently. Like as soon as I see something, I'm updating it, and I'm changing this date right there, the 8/13. I'm updating the day that I did it, so you'll know how current it is. Number one, over on the left-hand side, I've actually broken down the NAR, TAR, TREC sources. So if you click that, it's just NAR stuff. If you click the TAR, it's just TAR stuff. Okay? It was getting a little confusing because there were so many things in there. So I've broken it down for you. There is a link to the BAC right there. There is a 6 items to consider before practice changes take effect. An article I found that I thought was really interesting. And then there's a Metroplex how to prepare checklist that we're going to show in just a minute. So I'll come back to that. This is where, okay, let me show.
Oh, I love that.
This is what yesterday happened.
Is this coming in the mail?
Yeah.
It came in the mail. So
I got one.
it really surprised me, and I'm a little concerned because I was told that they can't advertise anything until Saturday. So it really surprised me when Joanna put this up there, that this came in the mail to her. This is what we're going to see. When that occurs, you send them there.
Right.
To where?
That
RealestateCommissionLitigation.com.
And that's all we do.
You can't, there's
Nothing.
nothing that you can answer for them that's because it's legal. They can get on there, they can sign up to be a class member, class action lawsuit member of the class, and they can do everything from there. You don't need to do anything else. That's it. Send them there.
Can I ask a question? If
No.
I'm just,
Go ahead.
if I'm just reading this correctly, is like, just because when we saw last week, I was like, I'd have a bad attitude about that. Because I don't like, because I think it's all silly. But anyways, so to my understanding, when they click this link and they go file that, they're just getting the piece of the settlement that's already been settled.
Yeah,
So it's not like open, and it's $30. Oh, that's too cheap.
27.
I can get you a gift card at Chick-fil-A.
You don't sure, I don't care if you tell them, you can tell them it's gonna be about $27.
I mean, I just, because I know, like, you put emphasis on it the other day to be like, hey, don't really have some discussions about it, because the fire lawsuit is coming, is not being taken very seriously that way from my sources. Because you can't double dip. You can't double dip. The sellers can't double dip back into this now. Like, so if you were a part of this suit,
They
you
better be
did not
on
be a
the
part of
print
for
then.
ones going forward. So it's
Even
gonna
if you
fall apart.
Bought and sold, like you can't.
Yeah, so if you sold the house and you enter or you make a claim to this, you cannot be a part of the buyer what's coming down.
And get
the
your
pipe.
other $30.
I only get $130.
Yeah,
One
don't be
coupon,
greedy.
one coupon for Chili's. That's it. That's all you get.
Yeah.
So you don't care if we tell them, go to this website and your payout's probably gonna be around $27?
That's up to you if you want to have that
I'm gonna do that.
conversation.
I just want you to tell me how much you want me to be quiet about it. Because I'm gonna be like, well, we're gonna talk about class actions.
Go ahead.
Isn't it
Chick-fil-A
just specific brokerages?
This,
Hey,
if you
maybe.
go to this website, let me
No
see if they'll let me go here. I'll share this tab. This is what it looks like.
Right, so it's like, unless you were previously an agent with one of those, your clients really shouldn't be.
Well, National Association.
National Association of Realtors is what covered us.
Ah,
So, I mean, honestly, I know, and everybody, I'm not happy with any area either, but I mean, here's our advantage right now is that if they wouldn't have settled or whatever, then people would be subject to come after you personally.
Right.
But Keller Williams and all them settled prior to the ruling.
Yeah, so that, the first three,
okay,
was the people that settled
makes
out of
sense.
court. These people settled in one big lump sum that they have a different part of the settlement. Everybody else goes to NAR.
got it. Okay.
That's simple.
Everyone is covered there.
Yeah, everyone's covered it.
Well, I
And
bought
does
a
it matter
house.
which one is, how many dollars you get?
No, I have no idea. I have no idea.
What if no one ever claims the money, where does the money go?
Oh, that's
To the attorneys.
Exactly, so I think nobody gets $27.
How about I'll get our first round.
Okay. Let me finish up. We're
Just,
running out of time.
just a quick, I want to say something on this. You'll have a myriad of like experiences and questions from the different types of clients. So 90% of them won't even care or know, and then, but you might have one that's like, what is this? And they just kind of freak out. It's the response is, this is not a big deal. It literally doesn't affect you, the person, me, my brokerage, who we're dealing with, literally at all. It will not affect us. Now, we know all the practical stuff that's annoying that we're talking about this last month, but like, so it does affect us, but in the reality of
Business-wise,
financial,
yeah.
business-wise, like our relationship, me and client, it has zero effect on us, zero. And you caring about it a lot and like
Yeah.
trying to explain just goes to the fact that you're making a bigger deal than it
Right.
really is. And so you having a calm, like, it's not that big of a deal, please go get $27. Here's the legal stuff. If you are concerned, I am not at all. It's really like 0% of my brain space is going towards
I've
this.
only had 2 people reach out to me about it.
Well,
And once I
So-
told them that, cause like, this is so overblown, like, it's not a big deal, they're like, okay.
I think the calm, like, and the realistic of reality approach to this is it literally has zero effect on me as an agent from a client relationship.
right.
We
Yeah.
know the practical annoyances and forms and all that stuff. So you can,
Ah.
don't go into that.
I mean, to me, and I know it's kind of like stumbling a little bit right now to kind of acclimate to what's going on, but most of my clients are like sort of offended for me about all of this. Like the ones that have heard about it and educated about it are like, I mean, I think it's opened a lot of great dialogue for me to have to show value and to show, like a positive spin on what we really do for a living. So to me, I've had some really great conversations to people to be like, no, like I see how hard you work. Like I see you get up on Saturday morning and leave at 8 o'clock and, things like that. So I think it will be a positive. It can be a positive spin.
I want to show you one more thing here on the TAR website. This is, if you click this one here, the 2402 or 2406, that goes into depth of what you need to do. This is from TAR. Just remember this, the 2402 comes before 2406 in the numbers, right? 02 is smaller than 06. 02 is before an offer, 06 is with an offer.
Okay.
Pretty simple to remember.
Thank you so much for doing this, Brian. This is.
Can you click on
such a
2402
great
real quick
resource.
and 2406?
2402, the 2402 is
Just so you
here.
can see it.
Share this
That's
tab.
the broker. That's what I use.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So that's
The
From
24
every,
it's before you submit an offer.
2402 means you don't have a contract.
Yeah.
I'm just Jana is the listing agent. I'm going to give her a 2402 saying, with my offer that's going to come, I'm going to expect this amount of money.
so you extend that out prior to your offer?
You could.
Okay. Or together?
JC said, if you send the 24, let me read his words exactly. JC's words, JC Johnson, if the 2402 is executed pre-offer, no addendum is required.
Okay.
If 2402 is executed before the offer, you don't need the 2406. If you send the 2406 with your offer, you don't need the 2402. To that end, Victoria has already told me, we are getting requests from other brokerages that want both.
Yeah.
Give it to them. I don't care.
Yeah.
Do it. Just give them the paperwork.
I guess,
We're not going to require it at 6th Ave. It'll only be one or the other.
I guess, and that's why we probably have some obviously uneducated brokers out there
Yes.
that are asking for buyer rep agreements. They don't,
Yeah.
they're not implementing
yeah.
the correct tool.
They don't, they're not, we're gonna deal with this a lot.
Yeah.
Most brokerages are not up to speed like on this, and they are just dumb. They're
Yeah.
like literally 2 months behind
Yeah,
on this.
I
So you're
did.
gonna asking for both of these, they're gonna ask for buyer, they're gonna ask for forms that don't really matter, and
That's up to you if you give it to them or not.
So how do we answer if Compass XYZ says my broker requires you to send your buyer's rep agreement? We don't have to send that, do we?
We don't.
no,
I
it's
mean,
just,
that's
it's just a matter of like,
How difficult.
if the agent is a pain in the ass,
Yeah.
and it's like, then I probably would just be like, whatever, I'm
Here.
just gonna get this deal done.
Yeah.
But if you're like, hey, just so you know, you don't have to do this.
This is the.
Here's and they're like willing to listen and
Yeah.
like, then,
You can help them.
yeah, you can help them, maybe educate them, but I mean,
Yeah.
that's up to you. That's on you.
Will you click on the 2406 too?
Okay, I have one,
They
sorry, I have
But-
another question.
But agents are not always like that.
They get mad when I
Well, I don't really care. That's what my broker says, so I'm doing it.
I have another question about this. So in my situation with my other listing, he sent this and then sent the offer after, but I hadn't signed this yet. So even if we had signed the 2402 agreeing to 3% and we received an offer that did not meet my seller's needs, can we go back and negotiate this? Or because we signed it, do they have to get 3%? Or whatever they
do an
do?
amendment to the.
Go,
to
if you go back
contract
to
and
the other
get
one, is it not in bold print that these are negotiable, whatever?
Is that's,
Amounts in this section, whatever.
You can just amend and say 2406 is amended to buyer's rep is gonna get paragraph D1, listing broker shall pay blank. You can amend. It's an amendment.
Yeah, 20, yeah.
yeah, but then you also have to assume that the agent's going to agree to that.
Right, but that's the negotiation.
Yeah, but if they've already signed the 2402 and you're saying the buyer's
Yes.
agent is now not negotiating, you're like, well, now you're stuck with it. We wouldn't have to sign the 2402, would we, until we get an offer? Or the 2406?
Well, that's what I'm asking, because that's what I
Why
did.
would
I
you
didn't
even sign
have
the
my sellers,
2402?
I didn't sign this until we actually got eyes on the offer.
And I'm fine with that.
Okay.
That's, everybody's gonna do things differently.
Okay,
Some people are gonna send a 2402 in advance saying, this is what I'm about to
But you don't
do.
have to sign it.
That's correct.
Yeah.
okay,
It's-
okay, that was, I guess.
I
my
mean,
question.
Jimmy, in commercial real estate, if somebody sends you an LOI,
Yeah.
do you have to sign it? Do you
No.
have to do anything with an LOI?
Don't sign.
Okay.
You just like, oh, great.
Okay, so
Awesome.
that's the way that
Okay,
I
that's
think,
what I
I'm
wanted to-
thinking about the 2402 as an LOI, a letter of intent.
This is what I'm expecting.
This is what I'm expecting to occur.
Okay.
If you sign that, then you're saying, okay, if you bring us this offer, I will pay you that amount. And then you get the offer and you go, wait a second, that's not what
Right.
we're not gonna accept this offer. Well, then all that goes away or you renegotiate.
Yep.
And now we can need a 2406.
And you have to sign that
There you go.
Yeah, you gotta sign that.
Okay. All right, very good. Let me get a couple things. I know we're running a little long. Thank you. I am doing onboarding with Bailey and I think Kat's gonna join us at 11:15. If anybody else wants to come to the onboarding, you're welcome to do
What is
that today.
For what?
Onboarding, like new agent.
Oh, new
onboarding
agent
for 6
onboarding.
hours.
I heard onboarding, but I didn't- we have so many classes starting, so I didn't know if it was.
100 Days to Readiness will start next Wednesday. We have 5 people going through 100 Days to Readiness.
Yay.
Everybody's going to do that.
I didn't-
Um, Certified full service professional, everybody can sign up for that next Monday at noon here at the office. We're gonna meet at the office as a group. The point is for us to be together to talk about what we see from Brian. It's a live event, so he'll be in California at 10, we'll be here at 12, same time, and we'll go through that stuff. If you can't make it, if you signed up for CFSP, I'm assuming they'll be sending links out. If not, I will get a link. If you can't make it to one of the classes, you'll be able to join virtually.
Do you know how long the classes are?
No idea. I'm assuming an hour to an hour and a half.
Okay.
That's what Brian usually does.
Can we still sign up for that?
I have one spot open for CFSP. If you want to do that, it's $249, then more Zelle, and I'll add you to the class on Slack. If you have, this is important. If you have an active listing and you do not have an amendment to 2702 in place, we need 2701, excuse me. 2701 amendment, which is your representation amendment, needs to be in place by Friday.
Listing
So-
that's not under contract.
It's not under contract. It's listed, but it's not under contract. You need to have a 2701. Buyer's reps, same thing. You're giving me snake eye. What's up?
I thought it was, even if it was under contract, but it hasn't.
Closed. If you're not closing by Friday, yes.
Yes. So if
2701.
a listing that's closing in September, we need
2701.
to have the 27.
If you have a listing, please put it in rechat. If you have a buyer's rep with somebody, 2701 needs to be in your files by Friday, just to cover yourself. Okay? That way, all your representation disclosures are up to date. Everything that you signed after June 24th is on the new forms and they're compliant. But if you have somebody signed before June 24th, listing or buyer, and you're still not under contract and closing by Friday, 2701.
Oh, okay.
Can I,
If you signed after June 24th, you're covered. It's new forms.
So
Have them do it.
if we're putting these in to make sure we're compliant, are we going over the documents? Are we waiting until CDA?
Waiting to CDA.
Okay,
I just
so
want it in there,
Wait,
Okay.
what?
just so that we know it's there.
I just tried in my brain, I'm like,
She's
put it in
asking
recap, but
if I
we're
put
not
it-
gonna
if I-
double check you.
If I put a 2701 in rechat,
Not until close.
is somebody gonna check it to make sure that it's there? No.
Because we've had this conversation early on about compliance and
Yes.
not wanting to find out
Right
7 days
before
before
closing.
we're not in
Yes.
compliant. We want to know
We-
now.
I'm just like, yeah, we
I
just don't
know.
have a full-time person that can monitor and double check everybody like that, so we can't like go in there and check every single person to make sure the doc as you're going.
We'd be nuts.
It's your business. Like, we expect you to do
Yeah.
it right. Like, and so I've gone back and forth with that. We used to have compliance that would monitor and then the whole room was like, I'm so annoyed that I'm getting told what to change it's like, I'm
Really?
gonna fix it before
I
closing.
would not be
I would
annoyed.
love
I
that.
would not be
No.
annoyed.
Yeah,
Can I-
2 or 3 people would
No,
say that, but
we
then
have a
other people
different
would
team
say,
now, Jimmy.
I
I
know,
would-
I'm just saying,
I just-
I've done it both ways and this like has worked, but you're like, I know I'm gonna change it before closing. And then they'll go and tweak it or they'll fix it or whatever. And so with all that said, my personal belief, and this is just business owner, I'm not gonna go back to that way, not because I don't think it's like really helpful for the brokerage or helpful for you, but this is your business. Run it well, and then whenever you get to closing, my expectation is your business is well. If you have a problem and you don't know how to fill out a form right, or if you have a problem like you don't understand it, we will teach you how to do that. We're not gonna like double check and triple check every single thing before you get to closing. I don't believe that as like a business owner, so I really believe like do it well. If you get to closing and there's mistakes, all right, let's learn, let's teach. We'll teach you how to do it, and then we'll fix the next time. And
I see
so,
that too, like the amount of money that it would take to pay somebody full time to be watching all those details. I just feel like there's a better way to spend those funds as a brokerage. And so I just, think about the resources that we have on the table. And
that's exactly right.
I mean, it's gonna get checked at the end of the day, no matter what.
Right.
Well, I think what a lot of us have expressed over the last several months is that maybe just the way the system is working is not working as a whole. Like with the 10 days so that we have more, like that's, I think maybe, I know there've been several questions about like, why isn't this getting done? Or why didn't that get done? Or whatever. And the answer has just been, we don't have a full-time person.
Yeah, and I'm open to talking about
that's-
having a full-time person, but I'm not open to if like you make
do my job.
mistakes, yeah, and
Yeah.
do a job for you. I don't believe in that. It doesn't help people in business.
Yeah.
It doesn't like help you grow as a person, an individual. It doesn't help you as a business to have like that double, triple, quadruple checks. It just doesn't. I don't like it.
See, that would drive me crazy.
Yeah, well, and I think maybe there's a conversation somewhere along the line of
Yeah, I
like,
think it's a blend.
hey,
but-
are there things that would support us that are not happening and things that are happening that aren't necessarily supportive?
I agree.
So
I
maybe
agree.
that's the conversation of, we don't need
Yeah.
Big Brother watching, but
Yeah, no, we're not doing that.
yeah.
I don't believe that. I don't like it.
Two last things before we go and let you guys go. I'm gonna put these links in the brokerage announcements. That will be where I do my meeting follow-up from now on, is in that channel, so you guys can refer back to the week. This is the countdown to August 17th by Metrotext, and it just has some practice changes that you guys need to be thinking about. I'll put the link to this there. And then I have one more link that I'm going to show you. And I actually put this already into my thing from yesterday, which I may copy over. This is talking points from TAR, and you can download the PDF, the MIST PDF, but like if you click this and say, how can you explain? They do it in 3 paragraphs. Okay, so I'll put links to both of these things for you guys to go back and reflect on later. That's all we have for today. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for being present. Thank you for participating, and thank you for being a success.
God bless you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. I will say real quick, I've had conversations with other agents that are like, oh my God, what are you doing about this form or this form? I was like, oh, I've got this really cool brokerage that I has it in a 1-page form. And they're like, can you send it to me? I go, no, you could join for the brokerage. I was like, but this is part of like services that you're.
Absolutely.
So that's why.
Are y'all finding value from
Oh
the
my God,
talk?
I am telling you, the people I'm talking to are like, what do you mean you have a 1-page? I go, yeah, with links everywhere. So like we go one place and it's updated like almost daily. And it's like, who are y'all? I was like, I know. Don't be jelly. Okay. I have to rework this box.
But everybody's finding some value from the new TAR
And
Farms
it's just a
website?
lot. This is just a lot.
Good.
It's just a lot.
It's a lot, but there's a lot going on, and I'm trying to just get as much information to everybody as I
Go
can.
out to-
So you're coming out.
You have to see it.
Good to see you.
Hey, Brian,
I'm
just putting on more than so I can make sure I get everything I need.
Yes, I was thinking that probably, let me turn this recording on.
Figure
that out.
They don't get to like